Hey yo! Finish searching for a place. Let's say you found a place that takes your fancy and you feel like you'll be comfortable there. The next thing that you need to do is talk to the landlord. Now when you're talking to the landlord, make sure that all the terms are clarified. So I mean how much the rent is and if that amount includes the bills or not, and also check for payment methods. What do they accept? Is it only USD? Can they also accept local currency like RTGS or EcoCash? And also get clear on the rules of the landlord. So you find that some landlords are like, you know what, I don't want visitors here, or if you want to bring visitors, make sure you let me know beforehand. So always get those things out of the way and make sure that you have a clear understanding before you bring your property and then you figure out that there's something that you don't like. So that's another thing I need to emphasize on. You can also ask about duty. So when I say duty, is in some areas you have to take turns to clean the yard and the toilet, especially if you're sharing someone else in that house. So you need to get to know when your duty days are, and also if there is a curfew, because there are some landlords who like to lock their gates at night and at a certain time. So you have to be at home by that time. So just get clarification on the curfew and what the measures are if, let's say, you miss the curfew. The next point in planning is start buying your property bit by bit, especially if you're still staying at home before you move out, if the space allows. The reason why it will be easier for you to start getting these things while you're still staying at home with your parents is that you don't have rent expenses. Expenses become more when you're staying by yourself and you don't have your family to lean on financially. In terms of property essentials, this is what you're gonna need: 2 pots and a pan. A pan is optional, 2 pots will be enough, because atizodi genga rere kuti notangara bika murioro suka poto rozo bika sats adiga. No. So at least 2 pots. You'll be fine with 2 pots. A pan maybe nengasongo come with a luxury, but it's nice to have an extra something. Let's say musio bika sats ama veggie udape gusta soup, you know. And then the next thing you need is a gas tank and a top or a stove. So personally, I prefer, or I would advise that you get a gas tank and a top. If you get a gas tank, you know that whether there is electricity or not, you're covered. Unlike when you get an electric stove and then there is no zesta, and you know how zesta will be like, and you don't have anywhere to prepare your food or to warm your water. That's why I'm saying I'd rather have a gas stove first rather than an electric one. You also need a couple of plates. So I say a couple of, just in case you don't feel like washing dishes that day, you have something clean to eat from, or maybe you decide to have a guest over, you won't have just 1 plate. So a couple of plates will be fine, maybe 2 or 3, and then a couple of forks, a couple of cups, a couple of spoons. So all this, I'm saying a couple of, you can get minimum 2, guys. Just don't have 1. So you need spoons for both cooking and eating. You need mugoti, you know, that stick we use to kubika sadza. And then you need a knife, you need a cutting board, you need lunch boxes. So you might say, why do I need lunch boxes? So sometimes you cook a lot of food. Remember, you don't have a lot of property yet, so that means probably you don't have a fridge yet. So if you cook too much food, you can just put it in your lunch box, or sometimes you want to carry something kubasa. Maybe my dad's no balancer, you can always buy lunch at work. You put your food in your lunch box, or you can use it for storing. You also need 2 dishes. So the dishes will be for washing your dishes. So you need 2, 1 for washing, 1 for rinsing. You also need a dish drying rack, so that once you wash your dishes, you can then put them in that rake for draining. And then you need a bucket or 2. So that's for your laundry and bathing. You need a washing basket, somewhere to put your laundry, your dirty laundry. You need 2 blankets at least, and a pillow. You need a sleeping bag if you can afford one, or a mat. So this is so that if you don't have a bed yet, you don't have to spread your blankets directly on the floor. So maybe it's a good thing to maybe invest in a rug or a carpet So you just see what works for you. You will also need a couple of chairs if you can afford it at that time. If not, if you get visitors, it's fine. But a couple of chairs will be fine, maybe plastic ones or camping chairs. I had a camping chair. You need a suitcase for your clothes if you haven't bought your wardrobe yet. You also need hangers. You also need an iron. Don't forget an iron, because you gotta look sharp when you're going to work. So don't forget an iron. You need a small mirror to look at yourself when you're preparing for work or to go out. A push tray. So you might not need a push tray, but I feel like that's where you place your stove and your plates for the time being, because you can't say your blankets and everything is on the floor now. Your dishes and everything are still on the floor as well. So a push tray will have to suffice in this case. You also need a soap dish to put your soap when you're going to bath. You also need an adapter. So this way you plug in your stuff, your iron, your chargers and stuff like that. Make sure you get an adapter with both round and square, what do they call it? Outlets or something like that, because sometimes you find that your furniture, especially if you're gonna buy something from South Africa, it will come with a round plug. So just make sure it has both square and round. You need a couple of sheets. You also need a mat. So when I say mat, the one that you put by the entrance, so that you don't put dirt in your house when you're coming in. You also need a dustpan for when you sweep your house and you have to put the rubbish somewhere. You also need muchairo or broom. You need a mop or a mutton cloth. And you need water containers. We know what the water situation be like in Zimbabwe. So you need your water containers. So probably 2 or 3. So you have one for your drinking water, or you buy your water purified, or you just get boiled water for drinking. And then the other one will be just for general use, like for washing and for bathing and stuff like that. So you definitely need water containers. And then you also need a torch or a solar light. You all know disaster situation, right? So you definitely need a torch or a solar light. But if you can't afford that yet, you will just get some candles and some matches. And then you also need a power bank. Again, Zessa is preparing us for the hard life, guys. So a power bank is something that you need just in case electricity is cut off. Now, moving on to entertainment. I'm sure you're like, what will I do in terms of entertainment? So for the time being, your phone or laptop will have to do, because you remember you're still starting out, so you can't rush to getting a TV. And then maybe if you're a reader, you can do magazines and novels. That will have to hold you for a while until things get settled. Moving on to grocery essentials. When you're moving, you will need your starch, that's your rice, your hufu or millimil, that's your pasta, macaroni, spaghetti, or if you're that one who doesn't like to cook too much like me, it's your noodles. And then you also need cooking oil. You will need relish, which doesn't go bad quickly, so tinned food is gonna be a friend, especially baked beans or that tinned beef or something. So that's assuming you don't have a fridge yet, but if you got a fridge, then that's good for you. Then maybe kapenta or matemba. And then vegetables, always make sure to buy this fresh if you don't have a fridge yet. I'm assuming we're working with not having a fridge yet in this case. You need potatoes, they're your friend, both starch and the relish sometimes. You need eggs, you need bread, you need sugar, you need coffee, tea, or drinking chocolate if you're a hot beverage kind of person. You need cereal. Trust me, cereal is gonna be your savior one of these days. When there's no zesta and you don't wanna cook, you just shove up some Cerevita and you'll be fine. You'll need salt, you need spices. So by spices, maybe your soup thickeners like Royco soy mix, your karinga, that kind of stuff. You also need candles and matches. I'm sure I mentioned this before. You need bath soap. Yes, don't go to work stinking because you forgot to buy soap. And then you need body lotion and Vaseline. You need shoe polish. You need a comb or a brush depending on your hairstyle. You also need toothpaste. You need a toothbrush. You need a razor. You get a groom. Hey, don't scare people thinking you're Chewbacca or something. You need a towel. You need dombo for those who scrub, or maybe shower gloves. You need a tissue. Definitely you need tissues. Unless, okay. You also need toilet cleaner. Whether you're doing your duty or not, toilet cleaner, you're gonna need it. You also need dishwashing liquid. You will need dish sponges or chisukiso. You will need dish towels to dry your plates with. You also need a potato peeler. Unless if you already have a knife, then you just use your knife, but a peeler makes your life easy. You need washing powder, definitely. And then floor polish if you don't have a tiled place. You will need juice, so your orange juice, what if you're not a hot beverage kind of person. You need purified water. If you're not gonna drink from the borehole, you definitely need water. And sometimes when you get to a place for the first time, you don't know where water to drink is got from. So just to have something to drink, have maybe a bottle or two of purified water. You also need bread and your spreads, maybe your jam, margarine, odori, peanut butter. And then you'll need popcorn. If you're gonna be fancy and sometimes you just wanna chew on something, get your popcorn, and then tomato sauce or mayonnaise, vinegar, and finally you also need, in terms of cleaning, a duster or a that feather duster or that cloth one, so that at least you can tidy your place. Alright, so that's it for the grocery essentials. Now we're moving on to what you need for the move. So the first thing you need is gonna be boxes. So boxes are for you to pack your things in, whether it's clothes or utensils or any stuff that you want to carry. Boxes come in handy. And also make sure you label your boxes. So when you put something in your boxes, make sure you label, so that when you get to where you're going and unpacking, it's easier to know where everything is. And sometimes when you move and it's the first day, you don't even have the energy to unpack. So you just need, okay, I need a cup, let me just go grab that box and get a cup. Okay, and then the next thing you need is to hire a truck or a car if you don't have one. Manpower. So manpower is for picking up your stuff and unpacking when you get to the new place. You definitely need manpower. So the size of truck or car will depend on how much property you have at this point. Sometimes a small pickup truck will be enough, but some people will need huge trucks if they already have like their beds and sofas and wardrobes. Okay, now we're going to move on to some things that you might need when things have settled down or after some months of you staying by yourself. I've listed this according to priority, so don't jump off to getting your PlayStation or your decoder when you still need some stuff. Okay, so first and foremost, assuming you don't have any of these when you move out first, you need a bed, you need a wardrobe, you need a fridge, you need a stove, assuming you hadn't bought one when you started. If you had bought a stove, then maybe now you need a gas one. But if all is good, then all is good. You also now start buying more kitchen utensils. Takuva kutuma poto takwendo kuseti, even my dolphin sets chichichi. You now need cupboards or a kitchen unit if your place doesn't come with those already. You also need more bedroom stuff such as bedding. Wakutengo maduvetu nemanga ma sheets. Kwenda tawoma ndikufekeka kuti gumbezereka sawoma ukulala wakashama anti. And then maybe you move on to TV and TV stand, wakwenda okuma sofa, and then in terms of entertainment now, wakutenga TV. If you want the free stuff, maybe wakutango ne kutenga hard drive or a flash stick where you put my movies zako and then you just plug that behind your TV if that's the kind of TV you have. Or maybe you can order a decoder. You can start with an open view that you can just get installed and you don't have to pay. It's for free. But if you can afford it, then maybe you wait on your Netflix or you do your DSTV. It's all depending on your pocket at this point. Now we're moving on to the most important bit of this whole thing, the finance bit. Here are some finance tips that I think would be very handy, that I find useful, and I use them almost on a monthly basis. So whenever you get your salary, you have to put priorities as to what are you going to cover first. So I'd recommend that you cover your rent first, followed by your transport, followed by your groceries, followed by your communications. Now when I say communications, I mean your airtime, I mean your Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So these are the categories that I feel are more important and you're gonna need on a monthly basis. So there are some apps that you can use that can help you manage your finances and keep track of them. So my personal favorites are Listonic. So Listonic is an app that you can use to create lists of the things that you need to buy in that month. So you can list your groceries, and then there's a column within the app where you can then put the corresponding price for each item. So I find that easy when I'm shopping, because I hate it when I go into a shop and I have my trolley full, and then I get to the till, I realize I can't take most of the stuff or some of the stuff, and now I have to put it back. And let's all admit, sometimes that's embarrassing. Sister guys, no. So to avoid that, I always punch my prices as I'm picking the items, so that at least I can see how much is required. And then when I see that, okay, I've reached the limit that I want to spend, I stop there, I go to the till, I pay. No embarrassment. Thank you, Listonic. Alright, so the next app that I like is called Andro Money. So Andro Money is a budgeting app. So you can input where your money comes from, so your income sources, and then you list how much you want to spend per category. So when I say per category, it's like maybe you have a food category, you have a living expenses like your transport, your rent. So every time you're spending and you're putting it down in that category, that I've spent so much of this budget, whenever you reach the maximum, it will tell you, okay, you've exhausted the budget that you want to get to. So once you've settled down for some months, also invest in medical aid and funeral policy. I know most of us young ones will be like, why do I need the medical aid or funeral policy and different manje? But guys, you don't know what's gonna happen. Atidi kuti vanhu vapota uchikuona uchisleya uchitenga mafoni anodhura, but when you die, your parents or your relative have to struggle to even get you a decent coffin. Yeah, I know people don't like to talk about death, but it's something that's gonna happen anyway. It's inevitable. So you never know what's gonna happen. Anzi, apana anozora mangwana rake rakamira sei. So just be prepared. Get your funeral policy. You're just trying to make it easy for those you leave behind if anything happens to you. Alright, the next thing will be to try to get a medical aid. So there are some very affordable, like you've got your CMAS. So maybe just get a package in at that point, so that if anything happens, I know some people will be like, I'm fit, I'll never get sick. But things happen. You might need medical attention immediately, and you have not enough money at that moment. That's when medical aid comes in handy. So trust me, it's something that you need. So in terms of internet, I know most of us would probably prefer Wi-Fi over bundles. You need to do your research before you go and choose a provider. You need to make sure that the provider you want, their network covers the area that you're staying in, and also make sure that the price of the equipment is within your budget. So you can get a decent router, or you can get a modem and then have it installed, and you have your connectivity. So just make sure you do your research, because you find that especially for Zoll, there are some of the equipment that doesn't work when you go like to Harare North. So maybe from areas like Eastleigh going upwards, you find that their Vibronics doesn't work there. So you really need to find out what works in which area, so that you don't invest in something that you won't be able to use. So that's it, guys, about moving out in Zimbabwe. I really tried to add everything that I thought was necessary and relevant, but if you feel that maybe I left out a couple of things, by all means, please share them in the comments. I'm sure someone will find it handy and helpful. I've attached the list in the description, so feel free to download if you feel like you can use them. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with me till the end of this video. If you liked it, make sure you check out some more of my content from the playlist. Remember to like, comment, and share, and also subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. So until next time, remember, you are an answer to someone's prayer. Bye.